We're talking to Vice Mayor Howard Gentry, Jr. And of course, Mayor, before we had our first commercial break, you were talking about some of your experiences, and I think we sort of got tied around you selling cars. But again, let's pick up at that point and to explain to us some of the things that you've been involved with.
Well, of course, and we did in the last segment, and that was just a time in my life where I became aware that I could sell. Mm-hmm. I could actually sell, but I also experienced people trusting me and believing me because I tried to tell the truth. I tried to do it the right way, and people believed me and in turn bought my product. Well, my life moved on. I went to law school at the Nashville School of Law, and while I was in law school, TSU called and offered me an opportunity to come to work there as Director of Development. And so I had been working in the courts for Judge Schreiber as a law clerk and a court officer, and he told me I should go. And so I went and spent 15 wonderful years there as an employee and had the opportunity to serve in many positions, executive director of the TSU Foundation, athletics director, assistant vice president for development, associate vice president for technology and administrative services. And it was just a very awesome time there. And that's over the period of years I developed. And then all of a sudden, I had this desire to do more. I wanted to serve the public in a way to the maximum of my ability. And I actually truly felt that politics locally was a way to do it. And so I ran for councilman at large, and I won a historic race. Carolyn Tucker and I were the first African Americans to win. And then I was the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee my second year, and then I ran for President Pro Tem in my third year, and I was successful. And then all of a sudden, circumstances occurred where I became Vice Mayor Pro Tem, and I served that for a year. Then I had to run for the office, had a very tough race against two of my colleagues. I was able to win the vice mayor's race. In the next term that I ran, I had no opposition, and so I'm in my last term now, and as circumstances have it, Mayor Purcell has announced that he is not going to run a third term, and so I was looking at it very seriously, and he came to me and told me that he was not going to run a third term, and then I determined that it was time for me to take that next step, and that's where I am.
And that is truly a historic step in the city of Nashville, too. And I think you've already mentioned how Nashville has changed over your long life. Speak to that, some of the things, because the very fact that you and Ms. Tucker were successful in those positions, it indicated something then at that time about Nashville, period.
You know, I don't dwell on it, but it's just a fact, and especially during this period of the year. You know, life for a guy that looked like me, as I stated earlier, wasn't always the greatest. We had a town, a city that was segregated. We had a city that maybe not as bad as others, but still discriminated against people of the African American descent, and it was not fun. It was not fun during those